Glad we didn't get that on paper. So let's talk about what lavish means and how it shows up. And here are some of my ideas on the subject. You may have some as well. I'll give you time to think about it this week. And if you're so inclined next week that you'd like to share that with us, you can do so. But here are some of my ideas on the subject. Sumptuously rich. Oh, that feels good in my mouth. Elaborate. Luxurious. Luxurious. What's that make you think of? It makes me think of a jacuzzi. It's just the right temperature. And the bubbles are just the right intensity. And I can sit anywhere I want to in that jacuzzi. That's luxurious. How about generous? Munificent. Woo. Thriving, prolific, open-handed, without limit. See, we talk about limitlessness all the time, don't we? You ever think about that as lavish? Probably not. Because you're thinking about that in terms of something that is gradually becoming greater and greater. So it's like time to adjust to that. I have a poem with me this morning that was written by someone in my congregation at the Foothill Center back some time ago when she saw in the bulletin that my topic for the coming week was lavish abundance, because I've talked about this before. It's just that I talk about it based on where I am in consciousness now as compared to then. So here's Mary's poem titled Lavish Is. Not always what we think it is and can be. A sunset in full glory, singing in church, rugged mountains at dusk, family dinners with leftovers, ocean waves breaking on the shore, a horse running at full speed just for the joy of it, cows contentedly eating tall grass, snow gently covering a tree and landscape, jacarandas in full purple splendor, a child licking a lollipop, having friends in for a visit, noticing the wonder of God, celebrating a birthday, the first rose of spring, the same rose in a special vase, seeing a work of art that really moves you, 31 flavors of ice cream, a cat stretching luxuriously, love, a lovely bridge spanning a stream, an arboretum, desert flowers covering the sands, a dog so happy to see you come home, a raging thunderstorm or pounding rain. Whoa, we had it last night. How about you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Starting a vacation with a full tank of gas. Enjoying the journey and the destination. The lavish universe is unending and shows up in so many ways. Isn't that lovely? Wow. That can start you thinking about how God demonstrates lavishness. Yet often we hear a word like that, lavish, and our only connection with it is negative. Like it was a lavish wardrobe display, or money was lavished on the event. And personally, I never have any negative connection with such usage because I see it all as circulation, involving many people benefiting from beginning to end. It's a part of circulating goods and positive expressions of prosperity. Here in the islands of Aloha, we see so many positive examples of lavish in nature every day. In the fragrant plumeria bushes that bloom lavishly for months. In the lavish production of a mango tree. It only blooms once a month, bears once a year. But when it bears, just lavish with fruit. How about in the lavish schools of colorful fish that you've seen that swim close enough to shore that you can actually see them when you snorkel? So listen to Ernest Holmes' words about lavish. He says, "This is the great awakening. This is the moment in which we now live. And in this moment, we ask ourselves, is there not plenty in the universe? Why do we ever find ourselves in lack or want? As we awaken to the truth, there's an inner witness in us which remembers that we come from a limitless line of creation. There's an answer deep within us that reminds us that God's state of being is filled with plenty. The universe is not limited. It's abundant, lavish, extravagant. I mean, look at some of the creations that we know about just here on planet Earth that are so extravagant. If you've ever seen a jacaranda tree like what Mary was talking about in full bloom, that's extravagant. And for those of you who've had the joy of seeing one of the volcanic eruptions, that's extravagant. And it grows the island in the process. So nothing can be taken away from the extravagance of the universe. Where would it go? Think about that. Where would it go? If the universe, the cosmos, is limitless and infinite, where would it go? The state of being in the universe is whole. It's complete. It's perfect. And most importantly, it's available for circulation and use. And it's not limited to what's already been created because there is constant new creation unfolding all the time. Recently, I was gifted with a copy of Mark Victor Hansen's latest book called Cash in a Flash. Have any of you heard about Cash in a Flash? Well, it's kind of an unusual book, but it has some interesting insights, two of which I want to share with you this morning. The first is what he calls ka-ching thinking. Ka-ching, like a cash register. Ka-ching. He suggests that you think of your bank account as being connected to your thoughts. So every time you have a positive thought, there is a deposit of $100 put into your bank account. Ka-ching. But every time you have a negative thought, $100 is deducted from your bank account. So let's pretend that when you left home this morning, you had $2,500 in one of your bank accounts. And as you listen to me describe ka-ching, thinking, you say to yourself, hey, that's not fair. That's my money. There goes $100 out of your bank account. Whoa, you say. Come on, what happened to my money? You can't do that. There goes another $100, another deduction. So what happened is that your thoughts are no longer just thoughts. They're things. They have value. They have value. See, there's the key phrase in there. They have an immediate benefit and an immediate consequence. And in our money-connected society, it's a really graphic parallel to the value and the immediate results of our thoughts. Ka-ching! I just put $100 in all of your bank accounts. So how about accent the ka-ching and eliminate the I just find this the most amusing and ingenious way to turn my thoughts into successes that I had never even thought of before. It's like keeping a checkbook, but without having to keep a checkbook. Knowing that every positive thought is a positive deposit into the bank account of my life. And every negative thought is a withdrawal from that bank account of the events of my life. So now here is the second point that Mark Victor Hansen makes in this book, Cash in a Flash, that I want to share with you. And it's the positive voice of empowering questions and high energy words. You know, we talk about this all the time. I've become the nag of Hawaii Island, catching you or others when we use negative words or questioning words or doubt words, those words themselves, in addition to I wish, I hope, I want, I'm afraid, those kinds of things. So, empowering questions and high energy words. Here's the first question. Who do they think they are? Here's the next question. What's the matter with me? Carol Carnes did a whole talk on what's the matter with me. You know how sometimes people make you feel like something that's happening is your fault? That if it weren't for you, it wouldn't be happening? And yet you weren't even there at the outset of it happening? And when we are in that defensive mode in our consciousness, we begin to say, what's the matter with me? People get into relationships that are abusive, that are uncaring, that drain us emotionally, financially, mentally. And the result is I say, what's the matter with me? Here's another one. Where is the justice in this world? You know, I could fix this. Time and time again, I've said all we need to do is ... and this is fixed. Where's the justice in this world? And then here's another one. Why do some people seem to get all the breaks? How does that work? Why is that happening? So if you Google these kinds of questions in your mind, where do they take you? Well, your bank account is going to be in negative several $100s just from those questions alone when we leak energy on them. Jean Houston asks the question, what is the purpose of your mind? And then, as only Jean Houston can, she answers her own question. And she says, it's to do whatever you tell it to do. She's a very imposing figure. When she looks over the podium at you and says, it's to do what you tell it to do, I'm a believer. So, to learn to ask my mind questions that empower my life and bring me the results I seek is much more valuable and ka-ching into my spiritual bank account on a regular basis, the results I seek. So let's ask ourselves questions like this. How can I resolve this issue I'm dealing with? What's the best and fastest way to overcome this? Where can I find the answers that will get me successful results? How can I turn this into success? And why am I so blessed to have these opportunities? See the difference? How different that feels when I take myself in that positive mode to what? I'm not getting into the details. I'm not slogging around in other people's stuff. I'm looking for outcomes in my own life. So with every one of those statements, I'm making a deposit, ka-ching, making a deposit, ka-ching, making a deposit, ka-ching. because our minds answer every question we ask them. The solution, first of all, is to listen, and then to take action on the answers. So ask yourself questions that bring positive results, and speak affirmations, including ones that praise you. Remember the story I told you about somebody that I've been working with, about looking in the mirror every day and saying, I am a good person? That's a really functional exercise for any of us. Every time you're in the bathroom to brush your teeth, or for restoring your personal comfort, or taking your shower or bath, or changing your clothes, or putting on your makeup. How many times a day do you look at yourself in the mirror and not see yourself? Or see, oh my God, how bloodshot that eye is. That's terrible. Or, here I go again with this hairdo. I cannot keep it under control. Withdrawals from my spiritual bank account. So looking in the mirror, I am a good person. I am a beautiful person. I am a happy person. I am a lavishly abundant person. And be able to look in your own eyes. You look in the eyes of others. You're looking in my eyes right now. Look in your own eyes. There is eternity there. If you haven't noticed that before, take a look. I am an eternal person. And be willing to do this until you get positive feedback from it. As many times as that takes. And then, oh, by the way, keep doing it. Because then it gets to be a joy. Now it's a deposit. Ka-ching, ka-ching. I am building that spiritual bank account. So ask questions that bring positive results in your life, and speak affirmations, including the ones that praise you. I am awesome. I'm amazing. I can do it. I have the power in me. Maybe, just maybe, we want to start with that one. I have the power in me. I have the power in me. I'm awesome. I'm amazing. I can do it. Whatever it is. See, that's the beauty of this. And that's the thing that Ernest Holmes and others like him have tapped into. And said, this works for everybody. Doesn't matter what your name is, doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter whether you're male or female, whether you're tall or short, whether you're young or old, whether you're Australian or you're Canadian, whether you are from Zambezi or Ukraine, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian, a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Jew, an atheist, or a religious scientist. It will work for anybody. But it's knowing about it to begin with, trusting it, and then doing it. You can't just sit on a mountain and expect that it somehow automatically unfolds. You are an active participant in your own life. And you are the guide. You are the person who decides what it is, who it is, how it is, when it is, that it shows up in real time. And along the way, remember that every word you speak has energy. The good news is that it's the lavish abundance of the universe spilling forth. You've heard me talk before about doing a 180-degree turn with your thoughts and or your words. Mark Victor Hansen says the same thing, only he calls it switch. And maybe that would work better for some of you than a 180-degree turn. Spend a day listening to the quality of the words that you and those around you use in your daily conversations. And make a conscious effort to switch your language to high-energy, positive words. That could even affect and positively influence the people you keep company with. If every time you catch yourself in conversation with someone, and when you use a positive word or you express a negative word or you express a negative thought, you stop right then and say switch. And then replace that with a positive. At least your bank account comes out even. You know, you go from to ka-ching right there and then. And you'll become more and more aware that you will hear my voice in your ears. Ka-ching. And this is a good thing. See, it's not the thoughts and the words we use in our daily spiritual practice that's the challenge. We're very mindful there. It's the rest of the 24 hours. With other people, with the TV or the car radio, with the internet, the telephone, with e-books, with books you can actually hold in your hand. I know some of you look at me kind of funny when you say, oh, did you see such and such a movie? And it's one that I chose not to see because it's negative or it's violent or it's dark. That's why. I don't want that stuff in me. I just don't. So consequently, if I don't expose myself to it, I can hear you do a summary on it. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
I can hear you do a summary on it and acknowledge that you gain value from it. And I will continue to remind you. Expose yourself only to that which brings about a positive ka-ching in your spiritual bank account. So be mindful of the negativity around us. It's the past experience that we or others have had before we knew how amazing and powerful we are. And the beauty of that is that as you change your negative to positive, and your bank account gets up into the plus rather than the negative state, that could be affecting other people, couldn't it? Either that or they'll leave your presence because you're just too darn happy. They can be replaced by people who are just too darn happy. Or even somewhere between where you are and where you've been. It's the old tape in us. I say tape, not CD, not DVD, not Blu-ray, not MP3, not your iPhone or your smartphone. Old tape that says there's not enough. And it's on automatic play. The infernal thing has not yet gone to its reward. It's still playing until we remove it from the player and we replace it with a DVD or a Blu-ray in living color and positive energy. And that infuses you in every waking moment. And if you want to let it run at night while you're asleep, that would be a good idea. You see, it's filling ourselves up with that which we would like to have, desire to have, intend to have, or if you're still back on the old paradigm, wish we had, hope we get, whatever. But it's moving us into not just having those thoughts, but rather moving into expressing those thoughts. Ka-ching. So ask yourself only empowering questions. Speak only positive, high energy words. Stop yourself. Which means listen to yourself. And stop yourself when you are speaking in negative terms. And remember Dr. Ernie's words. In our divine awakening, there is an inner witness that remembers that we emanate from an infinite, eternal, perfect, whole, and complete state. There is an answer from that great within which says God's state of being is filled with peace, power, plenty, lavish abundance, opulence. The universe is not limited. It is abundant, lavish, extravagant. Nothing can be taken from nor added to it. It's perfect, whole, and complete. Lavish abundance, that's the starting point, folks. That's the beginning. As Mary ended her poem on lavish is, the lavish universe is unending and shows up in so many ways. And so it is.
So it is.
Ka-ching.